not ever had a problem with your hair getting a length that you wanted, have you?
No.
Okay, right.
I have this, it usually stops right before I get it to get below my boob. It's like, that's its cutoff.
That's its
it
cutoff.
won't go any further than that.
Okay. Do you wonder why, or do you wish it could, or do you think, okay. So with the mission of getting the hair past the boob, all that's required is keeping the hair shaft stronger, right? Because what happens is it gets to a certain age, you see it as the length of the boob, but from the time it grew out of your head to the time it got to your boob, might have been a year and a half, right? So at a year and a half, it's like, I'm done, dude. I've been through all I can. I've been through all. I can't.
One more inch.
I can't go no more, right? I'm not strong enough, okay? And it breaks on its own, or you cut it, okay? That's what you're witnessing. So the name of the game for how to get it longer is you just have to make it stronger and healthier so it can live longer. Except for it's dead. It's not really alive, but so that it can be in good shape after it's been out of the head for longer. Hair's very simple. It's the same principle as fingernails, same exact chemical property, chemical makeup. It's a protein. It's just a thread. All it needs is to have the right humidity, so the right amount of water, so that the hair is malleable. It actually will wiggle. It looks like, no matter what, it looks like your hair will do this, right? No matter what, even if your hair has not been washed in 3 weeks, it looks like it'll still wrap around the finger, right? But and that's happening on the outside. But on the inside of the hair is a porous center that's like a sponge, right? And what does a dry sponge do if you bend it?
It'll just break. It won't bend.
It snaps, right? So what's happening is you look like the outside of the hair is nice and flexible and going around your finger, but inside that hair shaft is going, right? It's creating all these weak creases, right? So that's why it's so important to keep that sponge full of water.
That makes sense.
Make sense? So I'll give you another example. Hair's a fiber, like cotton, wool, silk. It's just a fiber. So if you have a cotton washcloth and you take a shower and then you leave the washcloth and you leave and you come home, and in the morning that washcloth is dry. It's hanging over wherever you hung it or wherever you put it, right? But it's dry. And you can feel it and it feels dry. If you leave and you go out of town, you come back, it's a different kind of dry, right? What's the difference?
It hasn't had any moisture to it.
And it's all brittle and crazy, right? So a fiber constantly loses moisture to the air, and your hair is doing the same thing. So it will not, it's getting the center part of the hair is becoming more and more and more porous, more and more dry as days go by and it hasn't been shampooed. Do you understand? So not only is the scalp dirty, that's actually, once you wash, if you're dirty, but then you wash, then you're clean, so you're kind of okay. It's over, no harm, no foul. But with the hair, that whole period that it was dry, every turn you had it make, every time you combed it, every time you laid down on a bed, the inside of the hairs were getting, pummeled.
So then, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
If I decided to not, this isn't gonna happen, but if I decided to always have it in a straight look, how often would I need to get it redone for that not to happen?
The same frequency, because it's not a function of the shape that the hair is in, meaning the orientation of the hair.
It's just it being moisture.
It's that, right, because
clean.
Exactly, because if let's say it's oriented straight, you still have to lay down on the pillow to go to sleep.
Right.
And then the hair is going to do some type of distortion, and if the inside of the hair shaft is dry and brittle, that's creating weak spots.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now, but your instinct, I think where I might hear you leaning or asking that question is an instinct that's a really rich one, which is when hair is curly, it is actually healthier or easier for curly hair to be worn straight in very low humidity environments than it is for it to be worn curly. And the reason why is the fact that when a hair curls, it creates a spiral.
Right.
So it's doing this. So when you can picture doing this, when you now lay on a pillow and you've got this going on, you created 10 crunches.
Right. It smashes.
It smashes it smashes it accordions it in a way that if it was straight, it might be twisted in 2 spaces, right? So that's the thing that's very counterintuitive. It is in deep cold winters where the air is dry and everything's dry. It actually is healthier for curly hair to be styled straight.
Okay.
If it's not going to be wet very frequently.
Okay.
Okay? And that's just healthier. I'm not speaking of style. I'm speaking just pure chemistry of hair, strength of hair type of thing, right? So for folks that have, you have curly hair, my recommendation would be in the winter that you either put it in a protective style that lets you wet it frequently. Because the whole other thing about the winter is you don't want to wet your hair as frequently because it's cold.
Right.
And it takes too long to dry. So either you put it in a protective style where it's okay to wet it and you can, let it dry under a dryer or let it dry overnight, what have you. Or you actually do get it dry, get it done and wear it straight for a period of 5 days or so between shampoos.
Getting it done.
Yes. But that means you have to be able to do it yourself because it is cost prohibitive and time prohibitive to go get your hair clean every 4 to 5 days, right?
Right.
Right. But do you know that only developed, that concept of the frequency of hair washing is predicated on practicality of going to the salon, not based on the needs of the hair?
Yeah. I feel like that's what I was doing.
Oh, that's what you felt like you were doing?
Yeah.
How so?
I felt like it's easier for me to go to the salon and to keep it up that way than me doing it myself. I started to do it because now that I do think about it, I did come right before I went to
school, right. I gave you that as a graduation gift.
And my hair was the length it is now. So me trying to do it myself all the time, it was too much. So I kind of relied more on going, but it wasn't as frequently as now that we've talked about it. I needed to go for it to be hydrated.
Right. Okay.
But I did build an arm muscle because that roll brush is no joke. It's no joke.
Okay, so you did continue using the brush after you? Okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was
good.
actually easier trying to blow dry my hair with a round brush. Yeah.
Isn't it? I know. People think, oh, I don't know how to do that. Yes, it's so much easier, and it automatically gets it straight. It's almost impossible to dry it with that round brush and not have it come out silky, right?